Evening, everyone. Welcome to RVing in New England. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, Bob. I feel great. We had a great camping weekend last weekend at Bailey's up in Maine, and we're looking forward to going back there several more times this summer. And
okay, Mark is here, so hang on.
So while you're getting Mark, I will tell our viewers and crew that this show is brought to you by our friends at Harvest Host. So one of the things that you may want to do when you're between campgrounds is to consider an evening, afternoon, morning at a vineyard, a brewery, a golf course, a museum, a farm. Great places to unwind, and some places sample some amazing wines and beer. And also, if you're looking for great dining that the general public may not have access to, the dining at so many of these country clubs that are on the Harvest Host list is just unbelievable. So with that being said, we want to let you know that you have the capability to save 15%. That's right, folks, 15% on your Harvest Host membership. Where it says code, just type in NERVDA, which stands for, guess what? New England RV Dealers Association. Type in NERVDA, save 15%, and you'll have a great time. And speaking of a great time, we happen to run into each other, Bob and I, this past weekend up in Old Orchard Beach. And Bob, it was like midsummer form at Bailey's, and you know what? You got to
you're right. It was back to summer form. So a lot of the restrictions are off, and restaurants are opening. A lot of them got outdoor dining. They can go back to indoor dining this week. So yeah, and I was real excited because we finally, where am I here? Somewhere in here, I think. I thought I had a picture.
Somewhere in there, what do you think?
Somewhere in there. We finally opened up the park model.
You got to go.
Landscaping.
You got to go to your place.
Yeah, I didn't do the landscaping. So, but somebody else did. But we're all open and ready for the season, and excited. We had a great weekend. In fact, going back up tomorrow night. So tonight we have Mark Lucas from RVillage. So I'm gonna drop down the picture here. I'm gonna bring Mark up. I see he's still toying a little bit. We had a little bit of technology there. Hey, Mark, can you hear us? Mark?
We can see him.
We can see him? All right. If you would talk a little bit more, I'm going to call him and see what...
Okay, great. So here's what I'll do. I will read some of the comments from our great guests.
Yeah.
And, they are many, many here. Maybe Mark hears us now. Mark, do you hear us now?
Hey, Bob.
He's on.
All right. I can hear...
So we were there. Video, I can't get...
Oh, hey. Kill the phone. Kill the phone.
Well,
Kill the phone, Mark.
I'm going to read the comments from Maria says, good evening. Walter says, good evening. Frank says, on board listening, thanks. Jerry, good evening from Cape Cod. Maria, as I don't know whether she's at Harvest Host right now, but she's been there before. Rainey says, hello. Good Sam is Walter. And no, I don't know whether, is that Walter? Is Walter Good Sam? I don't know. Or is that
anyway. Good Sam is Joe.
Joe Cavosa, okay. And then Diane. Oh, Martin is using Diane's internet. Jason says hello. And Christina Veselik says hello. Rhonda says hello. Gail says hello. The Hogans are here. And Maria camped in Rhode Island this past weekend and recommended you all. So maybe we have some more new viewers tonight.
All right.
And
Mark,
maybe if we keep talking, we'll be able to.
Let's see if we get Mark in here. Mark, can you hear us?
He's checking.
Mark? All right. I might have to bring him on the phone.
Well, keep your calls and letters coming. Joe Cavosa. Okay, so here's what happened. Every once in a while, you run into technological snafus, but it doesn't stop you. It's just like someday you go to start your RV and it doesn't start, and then or you go to pop the slide out, it doesn't slide, then you realize you didn't have the emergency brake on. But you know what? When you go through it, and somebody is coming from Agawam. Kathy.
Hello.
D'Onofrio Wheeler. Kathy, Agawam, that's where I'm from, Kathy. I don't know if you know that, but I am from there. Where do you live in Agawam, Kathy? And anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about RVillage, which is just an absolutely amazing, it's like a potpourri of activities. And basically what it does is campers helping out campers. So what they do is if you sign up to welcome someone, whenever you do, you will get a Suffield Street. Okay. You'll get a email that says Bill Smith has just arrived in your neighborhood. And like all campers like to help out others, what you've got the capability to do is email them and say, hey, if you're looking for restaurants, if you're looking for attractions, places to go, campgrounds, then you welcome them that way, as opposed to trying to work it out of a big brochure. So, Mark, as soon as Bob contacts him directly, we'll be able to talk with that. We see them here. You see him here. Evidently, he can't hear us yet.
No, he's
does that sound right, Bob?
Yeah, he's got something wrong on the other end, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. So hopefully I can dial him in here.
Oh, he just disappeared.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think you saw my. I don't think you saw
back.
my text message to. Mark, can you hear us? I sent him a text to call us.
So we can hear him rustling in the drawer there. So Bob, why don't we do this? Why don't we ask our audience if they have any specific questions about RVillage? They can type it in, and when we get to Mark, and I know we will, we will ask him and get it straight from the people that are with the company.
Yeah, I can go into a little bit more. If anybody's on here who is familiar with RVillage, just let me know so for a point of reference. But what they are is, and it was started almost 10 years ago, I think, by Curtis Coleman. It's a social networking for RVers. It was developed by RVers. Coleman's a software engineer, developed a phenomenal software package. But in terms of database marketing, he's got a good grasp on it. They've got over 100,000 members. But the important thing is that, like some other sites, they have groups, they have company listings. So Grand Design's got a company listing, Winnebago's got several companies have them. And so you can have groups. So I did send a special note out to all of our Good Sam folks, because one of the things that I thought of is, depending on what happens with Good Sam, but you could have individual state groups. If you had a new name, you could have one umbrella name and then have state groups underneath it. And you can tell where people are. What's really amazing about it when you look at their database, because you get complete access to the members, and this is free, by the way. So I did a search. Let me show you this one. So this was a search of all the members that were within 100 miles. Let's see.
There's Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how are you?
Good. All right, I'm going to just keep you on the phone because we could see you, but you couldn't hear us.
He's correct.
Okay. John, can you hear Mark?
I hear him great.
Okay.
Everybody else is that.
We'll do you on the phone. We were just getting ready to start to try to tell about RVillage, but I'm going to let you do it yourself. So we got several fans on here already. You probably didn't hear the greetings, but rather than repeat them again, when they have questions, we'll jump in.
Now we have some of their members here too.
So Mark, go ahead and explain your background. I gave you background in the promo, but your background there and some of the things that you hope to do with RVillage. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me. So, as you guys know, I'm a native New Englander. Grew up in the town of Whitman, attended Whitman Hanson High School there. I'm a proud Panther, and then went on to Bridgewater State College. And after that, I moved on to do retail RV sales at Camper's Inn in Raynham, Massachusetts. So that was my first entry into the RV world. And I enjoyed it. I thought that instead of retail, maybe I could move on to the wholesale side, which I did. I moved to Indiana, and then I was one of the original people at CrossRoads RV. Grew that company to just under 80 million, and we were acquired by THOR. And then I was promoted to president, and I stayed there until 2010. And we were close to $270 million in sales at that time. So that was quite a run. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Proud of the time there. And then left Crossroads and reintroduced the Shasta brand for Forest River. It came out with the 1961 reissue, which was met with a great success from the retail crowd. And then moved on to Lippert Components and Furrion, and then ended up over here at RVillage.
That's quite a run. Quite
So
a run.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's the short version, as you know.
yeah. Now,
Christina gave us the long version right on the as she typed it in.
Yeah.
Want me to read it to you?
Mark,
So Christina must work with your company somewhere. If not, she should, because she'd be one of your best customers.
well, Christina is in marketing. That's why I sent her a note. Christina's been kind of doing play-by-play on the side. So, Mark, can you see the screen, Mark? Even though we didn't see you.
I'm pulling up the screen. I'm going to pull up the screen as we speak, so that I can follow along with you guys.
So you're going to go to the NERVDA Facebook page.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And for those of you who see these long notes from Christina, Christina is in marketing and works with Mark, and she typed in the note there about being free. And Christina, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
She saved the day.
Save the day. So what I put up on it, when you look on the screen on the bottom left, to give you the power of what their membership doing, I just went in and did a search from Old Orchard Beach, where I am this summer, and said, tell me any members that are within 100 miles of Old Orchard Beach. And all those little red dots, there's so many, it just looks like a groundswell. And there's about 3,000, I can't read the numbers now. No, it's about 1,800. So right now there's 1,800 people within 100 miles of Old Orchard Beach. So I look at this and say, wow, for the Boston show, when we get ready for the Boston show, then I could do searches like this, and I can look at that list either by a pinpoint on the map, or you can actually call it up and it will give you every person. And if I can just scroll over here a little bit, you can actually see the list. You know, for all 1,800, you would actually get their name. You could click on them and you could communicate with them. So for those of you who are on with the Northeast Regional Camping Charities, if you had a group within RVillage, and in fact, let me have Mark explain. I forgot Mark was over there, so I assume, Mark, you're looking at the screen. But I've got some of our regulars are on that have been involved in the past with Good Sam, and of course, you know, that's paused. They got all the state directors paused. But
Sure.
They also formed. John's giving me the timeout. What do you got, John?
Okay, we got to get this straight. Is it RVillage or RVillage?
I've been with the company almost 4 months,
Yeah, what's
and I believe I have it right now. It is RVillage, not RVillage, just RVillage.
And Bob, were we talking the wrong thing the whole time?
There's a little bit of a play. There's a little bit of a play on words there. So obviously, it begins with RV. Our village, kind of play on our village.
Like OUR.
Really, it's bringing everybody together, and that's what it's about. It's about connections and about putting people together. So that's the play on words there. So it's our village.
And Mark, just to follow up on that, I think it's safe to say that in today's technological society, RVers are more connected than ever before, either geographically or by brand, by model, by interest, whether it's Class A, Class B camping, Class C camping, Winnebago camping, right?
Yeah, but
I would definitely agree that they're more connected in that way. However, anybody that's gone RVing and shows up at a new park, they know it can be a lonely sport. So you drive to a new location, you drive into the campground, you and your family get there, or you get there by yourself, and it's a lonely thing. It's hard to develop those deep relationships. And, Curtis, the founder, always says, there's nothing better than a good relationship. A good, strong relationship is as good as a strong cup of coffee. And that is what this site's about. So you're right. They're connected through technology.
Yeah.
But to really build a relationship, you need to get in these groups. You need to find out people with similar interests. You need to know where they are. And then you're on the way to being connected in a person.
Mark, let me stop you there because I want to answer one of Jerry Plant's questions because there's some confusion on what RVillage is and what it isn't. Jerry says,
sure,
as a fellow vintage RV owner, he owns an older motorhome, had Mark run into the 10-year rule. Is RVillage listing those campgrounds that restrict the age of rigs? Explain how you have campgrounds, but you don't get into any of the campground regulations or what they do or who they. This is about people, Jerry. Mark, go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. So what we're doing is we're inviting businesses to be part of the site. We want them to be part of the discussion. We want them to interact with the people that are either using their products or visiting their business. So absolutely, we want them to connect. But we're not just a listing. You can go plenty of other places and find just a listing and a listing of rules and a listing of regulation. The nice part here is I own a 1971 Winnebago that's been fully restored. And I want to know before I go to a campground if I can go on in and enter. I'm going to ask other people on the site who are in my vintage camper group or in my Winnebago traveling group. I'm going to ask them, hey, has anybody been to the Elkhart campground? Do they allow older campers in? I'm going to get a firsthand answer from those people. And if a campground is a charter park on the site, if they've joined as a business, they're probably part of this discussion and they can answer firsthand for you. So again, connections.
I've got a picture up of the exterior of your Winnebago and the interior when you started. So Jerry, I hope that answered your question. So this, and Audrey says, we just keep adding people to the group as we go. So she takes her group with her. She goes out with different people. But this is a great idea to talk to other people that might be in the area or that might have similar interests that you might enlarge your family of friends in terms of where you're going, Audrey. But so I got a picture of the stripped down interior. We'll talk a little bit about your rehab here. You gutted this thing right down to the floor and the walls, and I got a picture of you. Now, can you see our screens now, Mark?
Actually, no.
Okay.
What I need to do, you have the picture up of the roof on the tow motor, correct?
No, I got the interior stripped, looking from back to front, and I got the exterior of the Winnebago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, do you want to describe? Did you do the work? Did you have it contracted out? I mean, that looks like a pretty lofty project.
Well, it is, So it's one of those things where I saw an ad for a 71 Winnebago, and I always thought they were the coolest things ever. I had seen them in campgrounds. I saw plenty of people driving Winnebagos around. And working in the industry, I said, this will be great. I'm going to pick this up, and I'll bring it back to the plant, and I'm sure the guys that are there will just be excited to work on this. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
So I went up there and looked at it, and I think he was asking $2,500 for the motorhome. It didn't drive. The roof was caved in, and I said, I think I'd give you about $500 for it. And he said, okay. and immediately I said, oh no. So I said, well, you do have the title and the keys, and unfortunately he did. So yeah, I ended up owning the motorhome accidentally, and then brought it on a flatbed down to Indiana. I brought it up in Michigan. So yeah, I brought it back, and then being a trailer guy, I took it all apart, the inside, pulled the entire roof off. The walls are laminated, so I realized I had to route out around every window, every stud, put new framing in the wall, and then rewire the entire camper. Basically, it would have been easier just to build one from scratch. So I get it all done. I get it painted. I get the new vinyl and everything done, and we're ready to go camping. And then I realized I still haven't worked on the chassis or the motor or the transmission at this point.
All right, I'm gonna stop you there because I really want to get back to RVillage.
Yeah,
we got to show these people what RVillage is and what it can do. So I did put up a drawing before where I did 100 miles of Old Orchard Beach and had 1 million people, and then I showed them the listing of it. But explain the process because it's free. Explain to them how they sign up and what other things they can do on the platform.
Well, we want it to be accessible to everybody. There's no barrier to entry. So it's completely free to use the platform. And in fact, we really want it to be representative of the entire RVing community, regardless of, your background, your economic situation, whether you're a full-timer, a part-timer, even if you don't own an RV, if you're just, curious about RVs and into RV, we want people to come to the site and then sign up. So it's pretty simple. You go to RVillage.com, and then you put in whether you are an RVer yourself or whether you're a business owner, create a password, and then you're essentially on the platform. Like any other social media or like many other platforms, the more you become engaged, the more groups you join, the more information you put in, the more that you complete your profile, the more that the site will give back to you. So whether that's from a location standpoint, groups that you can join based on interests or rig type, people that are from the similar area that you're from or went to similar schools, the more that you engage with the site, the more that the site, again, will give back and offer you. But it's absolutely free to come on board.
Let's stop there for a minute because that's an important part. A lot of the folks that are joining have computer backgrounds, and Walter Swenson works for Dell. Mm-hmm. So without proprietary stuff, so you built in some artificial intelligence into this, and similar to what Facebook and targeting of other companies do, as you say, the more that you talk to it, the more it talks to you, the more it delivers information out to you.
Correct.
Okay.
So there is artificial intelligence. There is artificial intelligence behind the scene. But what we do with that information is we only enhance the experience. What we do not want to do is create any kind of an issue where people are afraid of where that information is going. We're never going to sell the information. We're not into, farming that information. We're into enhancing the experience.
Yep. So again, so we take it, so people sign up and now they're there. And the way that I use it is, and I only have to make 2 changes a year. So you put in where you are. So now my account shows me being in Old Orchard Beach. Come October, I put it back to Hudson, Mass. But when somebody comes in, depending upon the preferences that you set, so I have it set to tell me when somebody comes into the area.
Yeah.
And you get a notification. So it might say John DePietro is in the area. You don't have to communicate them. Well, you explain the process, Mark, how that works for people.
Sure. One of the biggest things that separates us from, let's say, a Facebook or any of the other social media platforms is the fact that we're location aware. So when someone arrives in your area, you get notified. When you travel to a different area, you see what campgrounds are in the area, what get-togethers may be in the area. You're aware, location-wise, of what's going on. But you can turn those notifications on or off. That's completely up to you. So for right now, I'm not on the road. So I have the majority of my notifications turned off. But when I do get into the season of camping or I'm going to be planning a trip, I'm going to turn those back on and see who may be in my area. So it really allows you to modify the experience to what you want.
Well,
And like I said, with the location aware aspect, the campgrounds in your area offer discounts specifically for RVillage members, and particularly for RVillage Gold members. We do a Gold member program, which is $49 right now for life. And there's exclusive benefits with that. There's exclusive options you have on the site, tailor your feed to what you want. And there's recognition on the site with a special gold pin and other discounts on items.
Well, one of the things that I did this morning, and John's been doing a lot of work up at Bailey's Campground in Maine because they're suing the state. We put some videos there. So I did a quick check this morning, and John, there's 10 people from RVillage in Bailey's tonight. And then I checked the campground down the street that I used to be at for 12 years, Wild Duck Campground. And that's only got 55 RV sites. 5 of them are RVillage members. So if I was sitting, if I was back at that other campground, or if you were at Bailey's and you wanted to do another video, you would call this up and say, well, Harry's here and Mary's over in this site. You send them a text message or a message through the system and say, you know what, I'm with NERVDA. I'd like to come over and do a little video on you and talk about RVillage. So if you transpose that to our guests and the way that they're traveling, and go back to Jason and Walter and Joe in terms of the Northeast Regional Camping Charity, you could, on the weekend that you have your big event down at Normandy Farms, you could go in there and say, who's around me. You click on Normandy Farms, because that little map with those red dots, which I can't blow up, but you could blow it up to the campground, and you could say, who is with RVillage in the campground right now? Send them a note and say, come on over and we'll have a cup of coffee. I want to talk to you about the Northeast Regional Charity, things like that. So what else do you see some of these other groups doing, Mark? Because I think that's one of the big advantages here.
There's a couple of things. One thing with the location aware, you're spot on. So if I'm going to a campground, before I arrive, I may look to see who's there. And I have 4 kids. So my wife and I travel with all 4 kids. And I might look through the list of people.
I hope you take all 4 when you go.
Trust me, there are days we'd like to only take a few.
Or none.
But the thing I was going to say is, you look in the campground and you can see who the 10 other, for instance, RVillage members are that are at the campsite. And I would say, John DePietro, kids, stay away from site 153.
Yeah.
So this other person is into NASCAR racing. This other family has 3 kids, and they may have similar interests. They're also in the 4-wheeling club. They're also in the restoration club. So to get back to the point of connecting one-on-one with people, what a great icebreaker! You show up at a campground you've not been to before. You instantly have a connection with a few of the people that are there. You're all RVillage members. And then you can deepen that connection by having similar interests or similar age people.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, Walter Swenson, who's the Mass Good Sam president here, I don't know if I can use that terminology now, says he's been a member since 2014 and now a gold member. So tell us the difference between is a gold member a paying member, or is it a different status, or what's the difference in the levels?
In the beginning, we wanted to differentiate something special. There were a lot of people that just believed in the cause. So when this was launched in March of 2014, it was launched in beta, but out to the public. A lot of people really had been wanting something like this. Curtis had the idea, Curtis had the plan, and he said, I'm going to get the best team of people together. And it really is a team. But to do anything like this, it's tough. It takes funding. It takes support from members. So this was that extra little designator for those people that really supported us from the start. That program, though, over time has evolved. That program now includes not only discounts for products bought on our site, but we're continually adding more parks, more businesses, more stores that are taking the gold membership and offering additional discounts for that. On the site itself, it's indicated by a small gold pin next to their name. They have additional search features that non-gold members don't have. They can turn advertisements on and off on the site. So if you don't want your feed to have advertisements, you can turn those off. We've actually found most people want them on because they're learning about new products, learning about new companies that offer things into the industry, but you have that ability to toggle it on and off. And then one of the most exciting things that we're going to offer is that we're going to do product testing. So with the businesses coming onto the platform, they're going to be taking products. Let's say it's a new griddle from Suburban, or it's we have Duoform on board, and they have a shower enclosure that they're going to be offering to cover the old shower in your RV and refurbish the entire shower. Those will be items that we'll be selecting Gold members and giving them for free to use, and then to write back and comment on the site about their experience with the product. And the biggest benefit all along has been we do our national rally down in Florida, and Gold members receive a massive discount on the rally. So it's $49 for life on special right now to be a Gold member. Normally, I believe it's $90 or $100 to do it.
Hey, Mark, when you have your rally in Florida, what kind of numbers are you looking at?
That took my question. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, last year we had close to 1,000 rigs there. I mean, it was a massive rally.
This year.
Yeah, the one that just passed. Okay. Yeah. This year we'll have ours coming up again in Florida, and we anticipate it to be even more than that. We anticipate to be over 1,000.
Yeah, but didn't you do one in January or February before the pandemic?
Right before the pandemic, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
So
yeah.
This year, so you had over 1,000. Okay.
I look at pre and post COVID as being two whole different lifetimes, let alone years. Yeah.
Our lifetime after will be a different year, also. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one that you want Sagami and I to come down and be guest speakers at, right? Is that the one in Florida? Only if it's going to be 40 degrees or less.
You want us to do our program live. See, for a special deal, Mark, we actually do road trips and do the program live from your rally.
Airfares are lower than ever.
I would say two things. We would love to have you guys there and involved with the rally, but I would love to see if there was a campground in New England that we could do a regional rally.
Oh, absolutely. We got,
I know that
Walter and Audrey and Jerry and Jason, they know all the campgrounds too. So yeah, that's a given. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can. Yeah. So that's a good point. Have you done regional rallies before?
Up to this point, RVillage itself has not done them. However, there are groups. There's almost 4,000 crowdsourced groups on the site, mm-hmm. and they do regional get-togethers on their own. Now, because of COVID, those have become virtual get-togethers in many cases. But before COVID, they were doing regional get-togethers on their own.
All right, Jerry Plant just signed up. Jerry Plant says, wow, $49 for Gold. For life, I'm in. All right.
Absolutely.
How about
Walter brings up fairgrounds instead of campgrounds.
One of the things that would really help my good, I don't want to say Good Sam because they're ex-Good Sam, but, let's call it the Northeast Regional Charity.
Charity.
We support these guys. But in the past, they used the John Mowers. You've been out there, Greenfield Fairgrounds.
Yeah, the Franklin County Fairgrounds.
Yeah. So Walter says, how about the fairgrounds? So, Walter, if you had a group on here that was the camping charities, and then you wanted to run the rally at the fairgrounds, we get some support from Mark. Mark flies in and talks about RVillage. We look at the map and see who else is in the area and bring them in. I'll bet you could have a hell of a draw.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the good point you make is the group. So I know there's a lot of these directors and regional people that have been, I hate to say orphaned, but they've kind of been left on their own.
Well, we got 3 of them on here right now. And we do
Maine,
we've always
Rhode Island.
We used to joke about it, but we gave them more support than Marcus Lamotas gave them. So yeah, there's
But hey, let's start a little discussion here, because this is something that I've always questioned. Now, Walter brings up fairgrounds. Now, a lot of people, when the Massachusetts group had their event on Memorial Day weekend out in Greenfield, people would show up Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, but the crew that was putting it together was showing up a week before and laying cable, laying electric wire, laying, getting the water going, et cetera, et cetera. why should those people, and you know what? The numbers of people that were organizing it kept getting smaller. So consequently, they still had the same amount of work to do with less people. I like Mark's idea. Go to a campground and find one that's big enough that you can be in your own area. And I can think of 2 or 3 in New England that they already have the snack bar. They already have the pool, which you don't get at a fairground. They already have the restrooms that are working year round. You know, what do you guys think? Fairground or campground?
Yeah, while you're keying in on that, one of the things that I like about this is, let's face it, the FMCA crowd is older and they cannot draw younger people. Escapee's got the older people and some younger people. Good Sam, you know, is mostly the longtime people that were there, and it's difficult to get new people in there. This platform is where people live, in the sense that it uses the technology that people use. And from a demographic standpoint, Mark, I suspect you'll bear this out, but you probably got everything from 20-year-olds to 80-year-olds. So you got a wider spectrum of people, a wider spectrum of product. And when Mark came on board, I jumped on right away, because we have a history with Mark, and we know, number one, he's from Massachusetts. Number two, he knows what we're talking about. But I don't think this company, RVillage, has any idea how big it could be. If Marcus can have 2 million people on a mailing list and only 1% of them participate in any kind of a rally, what are you guys up to on membership now? And I think with Mark's addition, some of the new things that he's doing, this thing is going to explode.
Well, you know, I would love to say thank you and take the credit for it, but you know, there's a team. There's a team of people that have done a fantastic job. And we just blew by 250,000 users.
Wow.
And 250,000, when I say users, you know, my family of 6 is one user.
Okay.
Many times it's a couple, it's a family that's one user. So I would say
it's a family unit, 250.
Right. So it's a user. So it's not a person, it's a user.
Yep.
And I would say that there's probably, I mean, I'm guessing here, but probably 350, 400,000 people that are involved and engaged, but there's 250,000 users. And the part that's really amazing is, just a year ago, we were adding one person every 5 minutes. Like, we look at it in 15-minute intervals. So every 15 minutes, about 3 people were joining the site. 1 year later, we have over 8 people every 15 minutes joining the site. So we have a brand new user about every minute and a half coming onto the platform.
All right, let me stop you there, because we're getting some good comments, and I certainly don't want to neglect our audience, because they're really into this. So I'm going to kind of start at the bottom and work my way up, because I'm not sure where you stopped, John, when you did your last one. But Diane Quayle says, when COVID-19 is over, Maine's Blue Ribbon Classic Fairground, Freiburg Fair, can handle 3,500 rigs.
Yep.
Christina says, yes, everyone, we have over 250,000 now. Well, now that Christina said it, we can believe her, Mark. See. Jason Cole said, this is incredible. Audrey wants to go to a campground. Jason wants, campground makes it so much easier and the quality is better. Good Sam wants to go back to Normandy Farms. Mark, you know Normandy Farms. I mean, it's the best thing east of the Mississippi, and they love all these people, and they love John and I. Well, they love me. John, they kind of accept John when I bring him along, but
they tolerate him. But you know, here's the great thing about this. Here's the great thing about this discussion. We have a group of boondockers on the site. We have a group of full-time RVers on the site. We have a group of Class B van people on the site. Everybody can really do a mini rally or a mini get-together where they want, in the style they want.
All right, so let me go through a couple more things. Maria's wants to campground. Good Sam, lots of setup and work. Well, that's true, Joe, but I don't know if that's Joe or Rhonda, but you've been volunteering in the past and doing this stuff. You guys know how to put together a rally. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Christina says the get-togethers are a ton of fun. virtual happy hour. Now we don't want to do virtual, Christina. We're getting back into the campground. Gail says yes, true story. Jason, I'm not sure what that refers to. More details coming on Good Sam the end of the month. Walter says we could fit 100+ rigs at Greenfield. I think he means that. Jerry Plant says waiting for the NERVDA discount code. No, you're not getting any discount code. You got $49, Jerry. That's it. Don't try for any more. But let me switch a little bit because number one, how many groups can a person join? Any limit?
You can join every group on the platform if you'd like.
Okay, so one of the new things, what Mark brought with him, his contacts in the industry. He's been talking to all of us, and I've talked. John and I have had calls with him. But one of the recent ones was Grand Design, and Grand Design became a partner member, and within, I mean, a heartbeat, they've got almost 2,000 members, and that's from people who are already in the program for the most part, and then they can go out when they sell a new Grand Design and say, by the way, we're on RVillage, and you get a chance to talk to them. And go ahead, Mark.
It's not all owners. It's not all owners, Bob. They intentionally named that group Grand Design RV Enthusiasts. So there's a lot of people in that group that don't own a Grand Design but are curious.
They're thinking of it. Yep. Want to learn more.
Right,
and
so,
you know what, folks? I think it's very important to say, and nobody would deny this, but if you want to find out about a certain brand of RV, join that group because the members are not going to tell you anything that is harmful to your ideas.
well, they'll also be very
they'll tell you the good and the bad. They'll be honest.
Yeah, and
but like anything else, though, John, if you're going to shop for a new RV, you'll go to a dealership, you'll look online, you'll visit the website.
Yeah,
you will probably ask other RVers who own that rig what they think.
Absolutely.
What they would have done differently or what else you should look at. And that's how most people do their purchases today.
Okay,
yep.
Now I want to announce, thanks to Mark, we have also formed a partnership, we as NERVDA, and we now have our own NERVDA group on RVillage. So search for that and join the NERVDA group. And we're going to be pushing that out. We haven't pushed that out to the public yet because I wanted to get a couple more dealers involved. But it is live. It is active, and we're going to have a NERVDA group in addition to the other groups that are on there. And hopefully we'll pick up people from around the country that got roots in New England, like Mark, that want to just stay tuned with what they're doing in the campground. So we'll send you some more information on that.
Mark,
the benefit of the RVing in New England group is my next trip home to see my mother, I was going to stop at the Toll House in Whitman, go to King's Castle Land, and then get a Christo's Pizza. Unfortunately, I found out that none of those three still exist. So I would need to be in the group to make sure I plan the trip appropriately.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, who's the mystery person behind the RVillage that's writing the comments here? Because unless Christina's doing double duty, but Christina's there.
Yeah, explain Christina's role. Christina's the one that walked me through and actually set me up, and she was on the call with Mark when we get put our partnership together. So,
and then RVillage. Who is RVillage?
I would assume RVillage is one of two people. It is either Hillary or it is the man behind the curtain, Curtis, who is the founder of RVillage. One or the other.
Let's see if they will poke their nose around that and just say, RVillage, I am.
Identify.
Oh, so.
Yeah.
Because really what it seems as though, and I've been a member for quite some time, and I get all the comments about, so-and-so has come into your neighborhood. And I'll write to them and say, look, if you need anything on restaurant ideas, I'll gladly tell you that because, the other day, probably 3 weeks ago, I saw a 45-foot Prevost wedging into a small gas station in Worcester. And I think it was a Sunday night. And I'm sure he must have just gotten off the interstate and saw that there was a Sunoco station there. But if I had known that, I would have said, don't even attempt to go there because you can't get in and out. He was towing a vehicle and
Well,
I tell people,
you're
look,
exactly right.
these are the restaurants that have RV parking. Right. RV parking. So super
we
proud
offer
to have
recommendations.
So anyway.
Yeah, you can recommend a business on the site. Mm-hmm. So any user can go into the marketplace and recommend a business. So if there's a restaurant that has plenty of parking, if there's a great ice cream shop that you can't, you got to have this ice cream, you can't get anywhere else. If you're in New England and you want the best seafood, here's the place to go. And that's free to put up those recommendations. And then down the road, if the business sees it or whatever, they can claim that page and then they can start to interact with the people as well. And
especially with regional food, like seafood there, like Bob has that, where's that lobster place where we brought Greg Gerber?
That was the Cape Nedic lobster pool.
No. You sure that was it? With Gerber?
It was
Cape
Nedic. We took him.
Anyway, but that's not a place you'd want to go with an RV.
No. I'm sorry. We took him to Two Lights at Lobster Shack at Two Lights.
Right, but that would be a place.
Gerber out for lobster. You don't bring me out for lobster.
We didn't bring him up. He paid his own bills, Lucas.
Oh, never mind.
But see, what I'm saying is that would be a place that you'd want to tell people. They may have read that place has great lobster, but don't bring an RV there because it's on the end of a road and it's a tiny parking lot. And if anything, if they're towing,
you cannot turn around an RV.
Drop the car and drive your car there, but don't go down that road with a 40-footer.
Absolutely not. Hey, so I'm not sure if it's Joe or Rhonda, but Mascot Sam says, John knows where to eat. To which Audrey says, yeah, if it's Chef Boyardee. So we don't put our faith. Ever since John has been dragging out these cans of Chef Boyardee every week, we don't allow him to comment on.
Yeah. Although I did comment at about 7:11, 11 minutes into the show, and he normally throws in a couple digs about Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
And,
so RVillage says Grand Design owners can now connect with other Grand Design owners wherever they are, where they are going, and along their way. The same is true for any brand. So, see, I think the power of this, and I get excited about this, and we followed Curtis since we met Curtis the first show that he showcased the product, and even back then we said, man, this is a home run, and a lot of the pieces have come together the last few years for you guys, but I just think it's going to explode. But it's because of the software, you don't ever want to get into the guts and the heartbeat of the software, but this software does so much. And by the way, we will gladly set up a working demo for you guys, the Good Sam guys, Northeast Charity. We will gladly set up a Zoom meeting with Christina and Mark just to show you, no obligation. You don't have to, first of all, it's free, so you don't have to spend any money, but I think you really want to look at the tremendous database capabilities and the filtering capabilities that you have. And if it's like other groups, if there's certain things that you need, then I'm sure Mark will work with you, because that's his job, business development. His job is to take this platform to the next level. I mean, if they're at 250,000 now, and at the rate that they're going, they could have 1 million by the end of the year.
We really think that if nothing changes at our current rate, we'll exceed 300,000 by August. We should be easily at 500,000 by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. The thing that'll blow your mind too, Bob, is you're right. The software that we have, the site that's been created, is incredible. Curtis calls it a Ferrari on the back end. Okay, so the front may not be that sexy,
and he's right.
But the back end's a Ferrari.
And he's right. Yeah.
But what you don't know is the site right now is written what they call PHP code.
Well,
and they did that back in.
The only one on here will know that is Walter. Well,
well, I'll tell Walter that there is a brand new site that we are launching. It is in testing right now. So RVillage has been completely redone, revamped, and brought into the future, and it is now in what they call React, is how it's written. And what I would love to do is get Walter, some park owners from your area, the other hosts that have been left out there, and Christina and I will give them a sneak peek of the brand new site.
So Walter will eat that up. Walter understands.
Yeah.
John and I have no idea what you just said. You realize that?
I don't either. I read some notes that Curtis gave me.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. So Walter will have to be there to interpret it. So
yeah.
What other things, Mark? Believe it or not, we only got about 9 minutes left here. But what other things should people know about your role, or about the things that you envision, say over the balance of the year as you start to put a couple of rocket ships underneath you and take off?
Well, I appreciate that. I think the thing that I want everybody to know is the vision from day one has been to really facilitate connections, facilitate interaction between people, facilitate that engagement. It hasn't been about getting as many users as we can, or as many companies, or as many brands. It's truly been about connecting people. And right now, if campgrounds come on board, and manufacturers and suppliers and all the different parts of this industry come on board, all of those people are now in one space. So the question we always ask people is, who's the largest taxi cab company in the world?
Uber.
And they don't own a single taxi cab.
Right.
They don't own a single car. Okay. Right. The largest hotel chain in the world. Airbnb. Okay. So what we want to do is we want the entire industry to come together in one place, because they're coming anyway. I mean, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. With over 800 a day, RVers are coming to the site. People interested in RVing are coming to the site. If all of the companies, the suppliers, the campgrounds, the dealers, if everybody's there, we're giving them the correct information firsthand, and people use this as a resource.
Let me ask you a question. That brings up an interesting thing when we talk about the Ubers and the Airbnbs. I know a couple of the folks on here tonight have units that they rent out through Outdoorsy and RV Share, which I firmly believe in. I think it's, dealers fought it at first. They thought it was, going to take business away from them, but not if they use it the right way, as in show people how they can make it an investment program, or how they can use it as a stopgap to people that buy. But if, let's say Walter's got a unit that he rents. So when he rents it, he can then say to the person, you really ought to join RVillage before you take this unit, especially if it's somebody that doesn't know RVing too well. But do you see a lot of people doing that? Because then while they're on the road, number one, they've got your trip planning number. They got the campgrounds. They can communicate with other people. I would think that for somebody who rents through something like RV Share and Outdoorsy, you put a little flyer in there and say, by the way, before you go, join RVillage. What's your take on that? And have you seen any activity like that?
We're very excited, and we've actually approached some companies about doing exactly that. What we don't want is someone to go and have a bad experience on the first time out. We want to make sure that whether they rent, they own, wherever they go, they have a good experience. So we're open to doing that. It's still the mindset of some companies feel it's their customer. It's not the industry's customer. It's their customer. And so we fight that a little bit. And our approach is it's everybody's customer. We want everybody on the platform, and they should too. So that's been really the only point of resistance. But yeah, we support all those. We'd love to have those types of companies on the platform and helping people connect.
Interesting. What do you think, John?
Well, the connection is the key to the whole thing, because as I said earlier in the show, RVers are a technologically pretty savvy group of people. And then you've got, the engineers in the group that are even more connected when they talk about, whether the generator is gas or diesel or whatever. But when it comes to issues like where to go for vacation, what to do when you're in an area, how long do you need to plan to stay at that place, this is invaluable, because you're getting it from people who are either there right now themselves or live in that area. So they have the inside scoop. And you know what? Guidebooks are great, but they're out of date. And let me tell you right now, with this COVID situation, all of the printed materials that came out in December, January, and February during the RV shows, they're not really reliable from the aspect of, the hours and times and dates, et cetera, are all subject to change because of the environment that we're in right now. So what I'm suggesting is that
we have a major announcement.
Okay.
The grass doesn't grow under Walter's feet. Walter has just announced that there's a new group on the platform, and it's called Northeast Region Camping Charity. So that's before the show even ended, Mark. Walter's on board, using his gold.
And you know what? And I'll go one step further, Bob. Any of these groups, whether it's Walter or any of the other hosts, any of your dealers, any of the campgrounds that want to create a group and invite people, we will give them a link. So their person clicks the link, signs up, and they automatically join the group.
Oh, wow.
So we can do that for any of these groups or businesses. We can do a link that will do exactly that.
Pretty cool. There's the NERVDA discount.
So, yeah,
there's the NERVDA discount, Jerry.
Jerry, right. Jerry says there's a great harvest host group on RVillage. And
Escapees was one of the first groups to come on board. Harvest Host is a great group, and they work with Grand Design as well.
Yep,
so there's a lot of interaction between the different companies, and again, it creates that community online.
Bob, let's read Audrey's point, because this is exactly what I was talking about. I have to add one question. On one of my sites, a pet owner had a dog in an emergency, and the campground didn't have recommendations for vet hospitals. Now, one thing with the campground is they may have work campers in there that are not from that area, but are from, the South or Texas or something. And if this is in New England, they're not going to know the local territory like a person who lives there would.
Yep.
So there's an example of getting local info from local people.
Yep.
Right. So again, I mentioned any user can put a recommendation on the site under the marketplace. So for pet owners, if they know a vet in the area, put a recommendation on the site.
Good point.
Good.
Now, how do because a lot of our folks on here, they're active RVers, that's for sure, and they go to a lot of campgrounds. How does a campground join, or is there a different process, or why should a campground join? Because you preloaded all the campgrounds, but they have to claim. Explain how they have to claim their campground.
So what they would do is they would go in through the regular front door, RVillage.com, and they would create a business account. So on the original drop down, it says I'm an individual, I'm a business, I'm a manufacturer, whatever it is. They would create a business account, and then that business account would go and claim the park. And the easier way is to just email me or email Christina. So it would be Mark, M-A-R-K, at RVillage.com, or Christina at RVillage.com.
Okay. I'll put that up there. Hang on.
She's probably going to correct me and say it's Christina V, but that's fine.
So who would you prefer to go? I'm going to type one in. Which one do you want me to type in? Christina?
They can go directly to me. Go to Mark at RVillage.com.
And tell them Bob and John sent you.
It'll make me look important, even though Christina will do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. The emails will get forwarded directly to Christina. Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to set it up to do it automatically.
Right. Just not get forwarded over there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, so we got that. And one thing that we do ask, Mark, and I'll ask you of all of our people, because we're pushing 8 o'clock here, and we try to be respectful of their time. If you would, tonight or tomorrow at some point in time, go back into the Facebook page and go through all the comments. We didn't do justice to them tonight because there's a lot of interest on this. And just answer some of the questions that we didn't get to. John and I do that also, because then we share it to 15 LinkedIn groups, and we share it to 15 Facebook groups. But before we go, those that are still out there, if you would be interested in Mark and I setting up a Zoom call so that you could really walk us through the software and get some more ideas for you. Again, it's free, it's no charge, but I think I just think that as we go forward and we look at things that people are doing in our industry with technology to communicate better, when I look at what a Good Sam or FMCA or some of these people, nobody's put it all together in one package like this, and to make it free, without the $49 is even better.
Yep.
But I think we got some pretty smart people on here, and certainly some experienced RVers, and they can certainly teach John and I a thing or two about this stuff, because we're only as good as the people that tune in every Wednesday. Yep. I think they would like that.
We should ask them.
The thing I would mention to you, Bob, is I would love to do a Zoom call. We could even do 3 or 4 campgrounds at a time. We could do 3 or 4 dealerships at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that way they would ask some questions that maybe the other person hadn't thought of.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
So Christina, everyone is sick of being at home, and I don't think anyone is rushing to get on an airplane. The RV community is exploding, and this trend is continuing to surge. You're right, Christina. We are in an amazing place when you consider what's going on in the world today with the virus and everything else. We are the safest. We are the safest bet on the planet, the most fun on the planet, the most logical place for your family and friends to go and gather. It definitely, we've seen it in all the media reports, but this is the year of the RV. That's for damn sure. And then hopefully with the year that RVillage really breaks out. I mean, you guys have got
RVillage, Bob. We went over this.
I wanted to see if you were still awake. We're just not two pretty faces, Lucas. We actually.
If I knew there was going to be a quiz, I might not have done this.
Yeah. The bosses are in for the Zoom call. Gail says RVing is the way to go. Well, look we're 3 minutes past Mark. I want to thank you very much for joining in. I apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulty in the beginning there, but we always managed to pull it off.
Absolutely. Yeah. I enjoy it, guys, and I really want to thank you. I appreciate you guys getting on board right away and supporting this, and it's always a blast watching you, working with you, talking to you, and hopefully your groups will blow up both with your businesses and with the people that are going to New England.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone.
John, any closing comments, John?
Well, just want to thank everybody for joining us, and join the group, and I'm sure you'll find it to be very beneficial to your camping experience.
Yep, and get out there and go camping. It's supposed to be 90 degrees this weekend. Most of the restrictions are off in Maine and most of these other states, so we can go about our business and have fun camping. We will see you next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
All right.